Hey guys, Carl Allen, welcome to day number 10. So you have closed your very first deal. So congratulations. We've been through the whole process. We've worked on your mindset. We talked about your buy box. We've done deal origination. We've gone and had meetings. We've done valuation and structure and financing. We've had offers and negotiations. We've done deal execution. And then yesterday was all about the closing, how the funds flow during the transaction, and the importance of having a GM to run the business for you if you want to be an owner investor working on the business, not an owner manager working in the business. So you've probably just walked out of your attorney's office or the seller's attorney's office, or you've done a DocuSign. You now own the business. You're on the way to meet your GM or meet your employees and look to get to grips with growth. So I'm going to be talking you through in this training about the importance of growing a business and why it's really the bulk of the wealth creation that we generate as deal makers. And then I will see you at the end of the training again face to face, where I can walk you through what are some of the options for you to take this very, very simple introductory 10-day training and go to a much deeper level of mastery working with me inside of Dealmaker Wealth Society. So let's get into the training. So today's all about growth. And remember, there's only 3 ways that you can make money doing deals. So the total wealth that you create will come from 3 places. Sometimes, but not all, you'll have some cash, some surplus cash at the closing table. We talked about that yesterday. That was that surplus money out of escrow that goes back into the business for you to take. The second thing is, as the owner of the business, net of the debt service. Remember that debt service cover ratio. If you've got a debt service cover ratio of 2, for every dollar that you're generating in cash flow, 50 cents is paying down debt. So the other 50 cents is yours. So you've got a business doing $500,000 a year of EBITDA and you're paying $250,000 a year to service the deal. You, as the business owner, are making $250,000 in distribution. So that's your monthly cash flow net of debt service. But the real value, the real wealth creation, is when you scale the business and then you exit, you sell it to somebody else, having paid down all, if not most of the debt. So that's what we're going to get into today. So let's think about it. Let's say you buy a business, it's doing $1 million in revenues and it's doing $100,000 in profits. So it's got a 10% margin, so total cost of $900,000. And let's say you go and buy that business for a 2.5 times multiple. So you buy that business for $250,000. EV is enterprise value. That's the value of the business. Then let's say over 5 years, you scale that business radically using 2 of the strategies that I'm going to share with you today. Let's say you grow the business from $1 million to $5 million over 5 years. And let's say because you're growing the business and you're getting more economies of scale, you're able to increase the margin from 10% to 20%. So now you've got a business doing $5 million in revenue, making $1 million in profit. And now you can sell that business for at least a 5 times multiple. Most businesses in most sectors, when you get to 7 figures in profit, you can command a 5 times multiple when you sell. So now you've got a business that's worth $5 million. You sell that, depending on the deal structure. If someone buys that through an SBA loan, you're going to get $4 million or more of that cash at closing. So you just made a phenomenal profit over 5 years of being that business owner. So what would have to be true for that to happen? Well, a large part of it is about growth. And we're going to talk about growth today, but growth is underpinned by improving margins. It's underpinned by you being a leader as the owner investor in the business, about having accountability. It's about having goals, and it's about having the strategy to grow the business and make the moves. It's about you having vision for what you want your business to be within that 5-year period. And then it's about the management and the KPIs, the key performance indicators that you're going to track and you're going to measure every single week inside of the business. And remember what we talked about yesterday, there's only 3 legs in a business. You've got a marketing leg or a sales leg, which makes a promise to the customer. You've got the operations team, which deliver on that promise through the product or the service. And then you've got the finance and admin team that kind of glue everything together. Your GM is your integrator. So marketing, ops, finance and admin report into your integrator. Could be also your COO or your GM. And then your job as the owner investor is to be the visionary, is to really set the heartbeat of the company, not to drive the bus. That's the integrator's job. If marketing, ops, finance, and admin, they're the people on the bus, your integrator is the person driving the bus. Your job is to chart the path. You're the GPS for that business. And remember, there's only two ways you can grow a business. You can grow it organically by just adding more customers, adding more sales, adding more products, or you can do bolt-on acquisitions. You can buy other companies and combine them with the business that you've already got. So let's say you've gone and acquired an e-commerce company, and that e-com company is doing $1.2 million in revenues, and it's generating a 15% profit margin, so $180,000 per year in profit in EBITDA. And you've bought that business for, say, a 2.5 times multiple. So you've gone out and you've paid $450,000 to buy that business. You've got 2,000 customers in that business. Your average cart value, so every time a customer buys a product or buys a bundle of products from you, they're spending $200, and they're buying from you 3 times a year on average. So let's say you're selling supplements, and let's say you have a supplements bundle. The customer's coming in, and on average, they're spending $200 every time they buy from you on average, and they're buying from you on average 3 times a year. Now let's just make really small incremental gains inside of that business. Let's drive 3 levers. Let's increase the number of customers, let's increase the average cart value, and let's increase the number of times that we get them buying from us on an annual basis. So let's say in the first year of owning the business, we increase our customers by 15%. And the way we do that is we just do more marketing. So you might be doing Facebook ads, Google SEO, you might run a joint venture with another company. There might be a whole bunch of other different ways that you can market to a new audience. So we're going to grow our customers by just 15% in that first year. What we're also going to do in that first year as well is we're going to increase our average customer value by 15%. The third thing that we're going to do is we're going to get them to buy more often. We're going to get them on average to buy 15% more often than they do currently inside of the business. And we're going to make our profit margins also 15% larger, because as we grow the business, we'll get better as economies of scale. We'll be able to sweat the overhead and the cost base of the business a lot more. So our profit margins will increase, but we're only going to increase them by 15% on the 15. So let's see what happens. So in year 1, we've grown our customers by 15%. So we've gone from 2,000 to 2,300 customers. So we've got 2,300 customers after the first year. The second thing that we've done is we've made more offers, and we've bundled our products better, and we've found more things to sell them, more incentives. So we've increased our average cart value by 15%. So the average cart value has gone up from $200 to $230. And then we've also increased the amount of number of times they're buying from us during the year. So the day we bought the business, they were buying on average 3 times a year. Now they're buying on average 3.45 times a year, because again, we've increased it by 15%. So if we multiply the number of customers, 2,300, by the average cart value, $230, by 3.45 times a year on average that they now buy from us, we've now got revenue of $1.825 million. So we've had a 50% growth in the annual revenue, because we've compounded those 3 levers: the number of customers, the amount they spend, and the number of times in the year they spend with us. So we've gone from 1.2 to 1.825 and change. And then what we've also done, because we're able to sweat the overhead and get the economies of scale, we've added 15% on top of the profit margin. So it's not 15 plus 15 equals 30. We've just added 15% on the 15%. So our new profit margin is now 17.3%. So our EBITDA has almost doubled. It's gone from $180,000 to $314,821. And at that level, we could probably sell that business today for at least a 3 times multiple. So now we've got a valuation of $944,463. So we've more than doubled the value of the business in 1 year just by tweaking 3 things inside the business: the number of customers that we've got, our average cart value, and the number of times per year the customer buys from us. And then let's do exactly the same thing in year number 2, but let's stretch our legs a little bit. Let's grow in year 2 by 20% across those 3 marks. So the number of customers is going up by 20%. that goes up from 2,300 to 2,760. We increase our average cart value by 20%. So we go from 230 to 276. And then we increase our number of orders per year by 20% from 3.45 up to 4.14. So now, if you multiply 2,760 customers by $276 average cart value, multiplied by an average of 4.14 times per year that they buy from us, we've now got a business that's generating $3.1 million and change. We increase our profit margins by 20%. So our margins go from 17.3 up to 20.7. So that's going to generate an EBITDA of $652,813. At that level, we can sell for at least a 4 times multiple, probably close to 5, but let's stick with 4. So now we've got a business, 4 times 652 and change is $2.6 million and change. So that's a 177% increase. So just by moving those 3 things incrementally year on year, the number of customers in the business, the average cart value, and the number of times per year that they buy from us, we can dramatically grow both the revenue and the profit, but more importantly, the valuation of the business. Because if you were to sell that business after 2 years, you would get the bulk of that $2.6 million. Assume that $450,000, you did that on, say, a 10-year loan to buy the business. After 2 years, you probably owe, say, $350,000. So you'd sell for 2.6, less than 350. You're making well clear of $2.2 million in profit just for 2 years. So that's $1 million a year. That's not even including the distributions you'd get. So you'd be making $1 million per year plus for 2 years straight. That would put you in the top 0.5% of all taxpayers in the United States and the UK. And we've not really done anything that difficult. We've bought a business, which I've showed you how to do in the last 10 days. And then we've just increased small and incrementally 3 levers: number of customers, average cart value, and the number of times per year that they buy from us. Pretty amazing, right? And if that's not blown your mind, this is really, really going to blow your mind. So one of the other ways to grow a business is to buy another business and integrate it to what you've already got. So let's change industry for now. Let's say you go out and you buy your first business, and let's say it's called Ben's Electrical. So you buy Ben's Electrical contracting business, and Ben's got 2 things, right? He's got customers and he's got electrical services. He's got customers that pay Ben and his team to go out there and do electrical work. So what you can then do is you can go out and buy another business. So let's say one of your next deals is you go and buy Pete's Plumbing. So Pete owns a plumbing business. You go buy Pete's Plumbing. Pete's got exactly the same things that Ben's got. He's got customers and then he's got plumbing services. So instead of doing electrical work, Pete's doing plumbing. He's fixing faucets and laying pipes and doing all those great things. He might even do a little bit of HVAC on the side. But you've got 2 completely different businesses doing 2 completely different things. But the key here is you've got a common customer avatar, because the customers that Ben's got, the electrical customers, they're always going to need plumbing. And then Pete's customers who do plumbing, they're also going to need electrical work at some point in time. So what you can do with these 2 businesses is you can cross-sell. So Pete's customers can enjoy the electrical services that Ben's providing, and then vice versa. We can take Pete's plumbing services and we can apply those to Ben's customers. So if Ben's got an electrical customer who's just had some new lights installed or some new wiring installed, and all of a sudden that customer's faucet leaks, or they want a new bathroom, or they want some new plumbing installed for a new kitchen or a new extension, Pete can provide that service. So rather than that customer going down the street and going with a competitor, you now own the plumbing business, so you can offer those services inside. So we get this amazing cross-sell of services between the 2 businesses. And then when we combine those 2 businesses together, they could potentially be in the same location. So you're saving on rent, on property tax, on utilities, on maintenance. You'll get better buying power in the building supply. So when you go to the supplier to buy your cabling, if you're buying pipe work as well, and valves and all those different things that plumbers use. I'm not a plumber, so I don't know. Please don't ever ask me to do plumbing for you. It would leak. I'm was born with a mathematical deal-making brain, not a practical brain. So, but when you go to the building supplies and you're buying the stuff for both businesses, you're going to get discounts. You're going to get economies of scale. So those are called financial synergies. You'll also only need one CPA. You might only need one marketer. You might only need one person to answer the phone. At the very least, you're going to save on Pete's salary because you don't need Pete to run that business. It can be run from inside of Ben's Electrical. So there's loads of financial synergies when you combine businesses together. So let's do an example. So let's say we've got Ben's Electrical. It's doing $1 million in revenues, $900,000 total cost base, making $100,000 in profits with 10% margin. And again, let's say we're buying that at a 2.5 times multiple. So it's going to cost you $250,000 to buy that business, assuming you're not inheriting any debt. So $250,000 is what you're going to pay to buy that business, whatever the deal structure is, right? And then we go and we buy Pete's Plumbing. Pete's Plumbing is the exact same business, exact same numbers to keep the math simple. $1 million revenue, $100,000 profit, 2.5 times multiple to buy it. So it's another $250,000 to do that deal. So you've just spent $500,000 buying those two businesses, but you own them both. Now, let's look at the cross-selling. So let's say we can only cross-sell 20% between the two businesses. So let's say 20% of the customers combined cross-sell from each other. So we've got $2 million in total revenue between Ben and Pete. So if we're going to cross-sell, we're going to add an additional $400,000 of revenues within the next 12 months between those two businesses. And then let's assume that's at the same 10% margin. So we have $400,000 of new revenue, but it's cost us $360,000 to deliver those cross-selling services. The second thing that we can do is when we combine these two businesses together, we've got all of those fantastic cost savings, all those fantastic deal synergies. And again, let's assume when we combine those two businesses together, we'll save around 20% of the total costs inside of the business. So if you add up 900,000 plus 900,000 plus the $360,000 of additional costs from the cross-selling, when you multiply that by 20%, we're going to save around $432,000 in total cost by combining those businesses together and driving that cross-selling. So now what have we got? We've got a business that's doing $2.4 million in revenues. We've got the $1 million from Ben originally, the $1 million from Pete originally, plus the $400,000 of cross-sell, that's 2.4. And if we add up the three costs, 900 plus 900 plus 360, and then we add back the $432,000 of costs that we're going to save, we've now got a cost base of $1.728 million. So that taken away from 2.4 means our EBITDA is now $672,000 in profit. So we've gone from $100,000 when we were just Ben's Electrical to now having $672,000 in a 12-month period by driving the cross-selling and driving the cost savings. So now you'd be able to sell that business for at least a 4 times multiple. So that would give you a valuation of about $2.688 million. And then let's assume you still owe $250,000 on the deal. You've now selling that business for $2.4 million and change. So you've 9.8x'd the value of your business and your net worth just by doing one bolt-on acquisition. And if you've done one, why stop at one? Go buy a roofing company. Think about your customer. What do they spend their money on besides electrical and plumbing? Roofing, landscaping, hardscaping, pest control. You might buy a garage door company that can fix their garage doors for them. You might buy a cleaning company, a painting and decorating company. It doesn't matter. Bolt-on acquisitions always revolve around the customer. What does the customer buy that you don't provide? Go and buy a business that does that, and then you can cross-sell between the two. So that's it. We've talked about growing businesses, why every business is a three-legged stool. Your GM working in the business, running the day-to-day, driving the bus is really, really important. And I walked you through two ways to actually grow their business and build value. We looked at bolt-on acquisitions, how to cross-sell products and services between different businesses, and then how to drive cost synergies out of a combined deal. And then I also showed you the 3-step way to organically grow any business that you buy. So if you found the 10 days to your first deal challenge useful, I got some really, really good news. I actually have a mentorship called Dealmaker Protege. It's a very intensive 12-month group mastermind and mentoring program. I run that program 3 days a week. You're also in teams. You've got accountability partners. There's accountability software that's driving and tracking every single thing that you do. We've got deals closing every single day inside of that community. It's not for the faint-hearted. I'm going to hold the feet to the fire. If you're not somebody that can pull the trigger and do stuff and get things done, please don't apply to come in as one of my mentees. If you think you've got what it takes and you absolutely want to be a deal maker and you want to have all the amazing benefits of being a deal maker, wealth creation, cash flow, work-life balance, pride, assurance, all those amazing qualities and all those amazing benefits, click on the link inside of this video. Click in the comments. You will absolutely be taken through an application process. If we think you have got what it takes, answer the questions honestly and fully for me, then we'll schedule an interview for you. And you never know, you might be one of my next mentees, one of my next proteges, and we're out there in the marketplace doing deals. I can't wait to work with you. I'm thrilled that you've enjoyed this training. I've been really overwhelmed and blown away by all the amazing comments from you. So have a great life as a deal maker. I'll see some of you in Protege. The rest of you, keep watching this YouTube channel. Please hit like and subscribe so you can get all of my stuff in real time. And I will see you guys soon. Until then, bye for now.
Hey guys, I'm Carl Allen. I'm the founder of Dealmaker Wealth Society. I've done tens of billions of dollars of deals over the last 30 plus years. If you're new to my channel, definitely hit like and subscribe so that you can get all of my amazing Dealmaker content in real time. You're not going to miss any of the outstanding information that I'm going to share with you. And if there's a question that you've got, if there's something that you want to know the answer for and you want me to speak to it, definitely hit me up in the comment section and I will record those videos for you and I will get them on this channel as soon as possible. So love having you part of this YouTube community and I can't wait to serve you. Until then, bye-bye for now.